Ready when you are, dude.
Boys and girls, ladies and gents, welcome to another episode of Stadium and Gale with Uncle Silk.
It's Dan.
And Nick.
Quick pop-up show. What we got cooking, Dan? I was at the dentist, man. My mouth is half numb, but I'm with the shenanigans. What's up?
Yeah, so emergency pod today. So Florida Gators today, I don't think by their own volition, but by a Freedom of Information Act, it was announced that three coaches plus three head coaches plus a number of assistant coaches, and we'll go over those numbers here in a minute, have been extended and offered new contracts. Those include Dan Mullen, head football coach, Michael White, head basketball coach, Cam Neubauer, the women's basketball coach, as well as Tim Brewster getting a pay increase, Garrick McGee getting his salary announced, Wesley McGriff and Jules Montaner's salaries were announced as well. And then finally, Christian Robinson gets a base compensation increase as well. So, Nick, why don't you break down some of those numbers for us? You wrote a great article on Gators Territory about those numbers, and then let's dive into them.
This goes back with Dan, goes back to the flirting, which I think was literally just Jimmy Sexton texting Adam Schefter before Schefter went on air on NFL Live saying, hey, Dan Mullen might want to go to the NFL. And then all of a sudden there's smoke. I would love to date Jennifer Aniston. And I don't think I'm going to, because I don't think she shares the interest. I think there was negotiating interest on Jimmy Sexton's part in behalf of Dan Mullen. And for the most part, Dan spent the 2020 football season either on probation or with his foot in his mouth, or both. So there wasn't a lot of negotiating leverage for Dan. So one text from Jimmy Sexton to Adam Schefter, and now you've got some negotiating power. And Dan, I think to me, this was coming. Like I said, on the last podcast, Dan signed a 6-year deal. He was 3 years into that. You always want your head coach to be on at least a 4-year contract. So Dan was due for an extension, and with that is going to come a raise. So I think now with his raise, he is the 5th highest paid head football coach in the country. Yes, correct. Nick Saban makes 9.1. Ed Orgeron makes a little over 8.6. Dabo Sweeney makes over 8.2, and Jim Harbaugh makes just over $8 million. So Dan comes in as the 5th highest paid coach in the country. I'm holding his term sheet here. He's going to be making $7.6 million a year with this new deal. He gets a signing bonus of $500,000 on July 1st, and on December 1st, he'll get a fat $1 million check as a retention bonus.
So Nick, talk to us a little bit about any of the out clauses that he potentially has as well, because I know obviously you talked about some flirtation with the NFL, but what do those out clauses look like? Yeah,
there's just a blanket clause. So if there's termination by the University Athletic Association, the UAA, without cause, Dan will get $12 million. So it's a $12 million buyout with half of that paid within 30 days of the contract being terminated. And then the remaining $6 million being paid over a 6-year period, or the value of the guaranteed compensation through term of agreement, whichever is less. So that means if the rest of his contract is less than $12 million, he just gets the rest of his contract. But if you look at it, it's $7.6 million a year. That means he would get fired. If he got fired without cause, anytime before the 2026 season ended, Florida would have to pay him $12 million.
Any other thing? Oh, go ahead.
If Mullen wants to terminate the contract without cause, he owes the university $2 million. But
that's it. That seems low compared to what we're used to and accustomed to this day and age. Nick, I know that this information came out via Freedom of Information Act. Do we know when this deal was done or when it was finalized?
So this was talked about prior to the 2020 season, but shelved because of COVID. Like I said yesterday, Silk got caught off guard, but all of the incentives. So like if I look at Mike White's contract here, like if the academic achievement bonus, for instance, if the team has an APR of 965 or higher, he gets $1 million. There's incentives built in. If Mike White or Dan wins the SEC championship, there's bonus money. I didn't print that out. I'd have to go digging through the contract again to grab it. But just things like that. Winning the East, he gets a bonus. Winning the SEC gets a bonus. Going to a New Year's Six Bowl, you get a bonus. Going to the playoff is a bonus. Winning a playoff game is another bonus. So there's more money built in and structured into the contract. That was just taken off the table because of COVID. And all the coaches across the board agreed to that addendum prior to playing. And all that stuff is now back in play.
All right. Well, let's get into the nuts and bolts. People aren't listening to our show just for facts and figures. We want to get some opinions. Silk, any thoughts that you have on this extension?
I think Dan Mullins is overdue for recruiting purposes and program. If this is our guy for the long haul, we need to get some more years on his belt or not. That we some other school can negative recruit that. I like where he's paid at. We should. I like our assistants getting extensions. I'm not mad at any of those guys getting paid more money. So I'm with it. You know where I stand with the Blanco extension. I don't think I got a deep dive on that. He's getting ratio to hell on Twitter right now.
Bro, I'm getting ratioed. That's like you walking outside and yelling at the mailman for bringing like the water bill. Like, hey man, yeah. I didn't run that. I didn't run 30 baths last month. They know
where you're at with the Mike White Hive.
I'm just bringing the bills, man. Yeah. I'm getting ratioed over here.
Yeah, old Nick leading the Mike White Hive. He's the queen bee. Oh man. So no, I agree. Nick, you mentioned it earlier. You never want your head coach to be under 4 years just because there's an opportunity for negative recruiting to happen. I guess my biggest question mark is what's the commitment look like? Obviously, Dan Mullen has flirted with the NFL before. Will this stop that potential flirtation? If we say that this conversation happened back last year and that was shelved due to COVID, and those conversations were happening even after COVID, before this season started, I still have some question marks about Dan Mullen's complete willingness to be 100% bought in. And that's not just to the University of Florida. And I'm not saying that Dan Mullen's not bought in, but if you're saying these conversations happened in 2020, they were shelved, and now they're official, does Dan Mullen continue to flirt, or is this, a number that he's happy with in a situation that he's happy with as well?
I think a lot of his flirtation last year was not having that extension.
But if we're saying that the extension was talked about, right, last year and was only shelved because of COVID, and all of these numbers are probably the same as they were before, right, Nick? That's what you're saying, that this deal was pretty much almost set in stone before COVID, and now that COVID is over, we're getting this finalized, that there's still flirtation, right? I mean,
you still got to negotiate until the contract's signed. Like whatever numbers is there is there, but if you could use some leverage to get more money, of course, like that's what I think. A lot of that was him trying to get leverage.
It was this whole thing was a leverage play, because like you can talk about it and hey, we have these numbers. Well, yeah. And then in the middle of a pandemic, you said, that the Russian army was at Texas A&M yelling at you when they shouldn't have been, and then you doubled down on it Monday, yelled that you need to pack the swamp. You're on probation already for recruiting violations. The president of the university is surely not happy with you, and he's got to sign off on a deal. So until the ink is dry on the paper,
because there was some unrest.
Still on.
Yeah, there was some unrest and some smoke amongst administration and Dan. So he would have been crazy not to have been flirting around with other jobs per se.
Like I said, flirting. Dating's got you can flirt. Dating's got to go two ways, and I don't think
nobody was flirting with him back.
I don't think the NFL wanted Dan the way that Dan wanted the NFL, or at least Jimmy Sexton wanted people to think that the NFL wanted Dan.
Yeah, the Darth Vader outfits are not going to work in the big boy league.
Come on now, that was
hilarious.
Subjectively funny.
Yeah,
not even objectively funny. That was subjectively funny, and people got mad about that. That was dumb to be mad about. There's so many things to be mad about. That was just not one of them.
So, I mean, I think that we're all in agreement on the Dan Mullen extension had to happen. A lot of people, there's a few people on Twitter that for some reason just like to live in negative world or kind of bemoaning this and saying that UF is accepting mediocrity. I don't think that they are. I think that Florida has shown, and they will always show, that they have money to make the moves that they need to make, whether it was, firing, Will Muschamp or Jim
extensions
McElwain.
don't mean a lot.
Yeah,
The exit
extensions.
clauses mean a lot, but the actual extension, I mean, we all seen somebody get extension to get fired the next year. It means nothing in the grand scheme.
Also, I would say, with Dan Mullen's buyout clause only being $2 million, it's one thing or the other. It's that Florida doesn't believe that he's truly going to leave. And if he does, then it's probably in both parties' best interest, because $2 million for a coach like Dan Mullen, who's the fifth highest paying coach, that doesn't add up. So
fourth.
I
forgot that Harbaugh took. Remember, Harbaugh was like on the hot seat. He just took they halved his contract. He makes like $4 million a year now.
Oh, that's right. Okay, so the fourth highest
Dan's behind,
only a $2 million buyout.
Yeah, Dan's behind Saban, Sweeney, and Ed O.
National champions. Third best team in the SEC.
National champion Ed O.
That's what we talked about. Other news on Florida Gators coaching. Tim Brewster's compensation was increased to $485,000. Christian Robinson's base compensation was increased to $390,000. Tim Brewster, I feel like, has earned that money back just in recruiting alone. Obviously, you get a tight end, the Mackey Award. You put him as the highest drafted tight end in the country, you're going to get paid substantially more money. And then Christian Robinson, who just 4 years ago was making $80,000 at the University of Florida, is now up to $390,000 and did flirt with the University of Michigan last year. Any thoughts on either of those two guys?
I think part of Christian's bump was in response to, hey, he could go somewhere and is going to garner interest. But that's not me saying it wasn't deserved. I think he's earned. I don't
want to hate on nobody's pockets, but I think he need to get that room together, and they need to be a little bit more productive.
Dueling takes. What about you, Daniel?
No, I think that the room, when Christian Robinson started, I really like him as a person, but when he started, his recruiting was on fire. Landed a lot of great names. I'm on the side of
recruit. He got some dogs.
I'm on Silk's side that, we've had a lot of, names come onto campus. I think Ventrell Miller is a guy that, needs to take that big step up. But I also think Derek Wingo, Tyron Hopper, these guys that were all world and being recruited by everybody still haven't had the chance to do much yet. So I'm waiting to see those develop. I don't think $390,000 is a waste of money, but I also don't, I'm not 100% sold on him either. And then finally on the football coaching staff, Garrick McGee, who moves from being a quality assistant, quality assurance coach, or quality control coach, moves up to $390,000. Wesley McGriff, the new safeties coach, is at $450,000, and then Jules Montaner is going to round out the staff with the lowest salary at $250,000, but still quite a bit of a jump from his salary at USF.
Jordan Jules.
Hey, we gotta get Jules some love. He out here getting buckets. I tried to last show, but my internet was messed up. A lot of Gator fans wanted T-Rob. T-Rob has been pissing the bed down in Dade County. The hire of Jules was criticized by a lot of people. Not we all, but a lot of people wanted T-Rob. Right now, Jules is doing what they do.
Yep.
Transfer, kid out of Texas.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of the recruits are mentioning him as well. Florida has a big recruiting day that started today, June 1st. A number of folks on campus today, a ton this weekend. So we'll continue to see, if Jules Montaner continues to grow his stature as a recruiter. Before we move on to Mike White, I know, Silk, you've got some exciting topics to talk about Mike White. Do we want to talk about anything else about the football staff?
Nah, man. They got these boys locked up for some more years. So, let's kill it on the trail. Big day today. Big day.
All right. And big news that everybody wants to talk about. Gators also extended basketball coach Mike White. Nick, talk to us a little bit about those numbers.
All right. So Mike White, just average over the next 6 years, he will make on average $3.187 million. Over 6 years, it's a $19.1 million contract. Base salary for what year am I at? I'm looking at this like contract sheet here. Base salary for next year is $450,000. That remains the same throughout the length of the contract. And then there's $1.3 million that they have all, the Mike White show, the Gator talk shows they have to do. So everything comes out to, just that roughly that $3.18 million deal. I think what goes into Mike White's extension is, at least in big part of it, is that he does things the right way. And you can look at LSU and Will Wade's strong ass offer. And I mean, it's not new in college basketball. Billy Donovan didn't like the way recruiting was happening. And that's why he got out of the college game years ago. And Florida went on probation. I think it was in the late 80s. Said that would never happen again. Football program figured how to do that out in 2020. And I think there's a sense of Mike White can figure inside Florida. Mike White can figure it out. He's a good young basketball coach, and we don't have to worry about him getting us in trouble through recruiting violations, which are rampant through college basketball. When the FBI is getting involved in your recruiting practices, then you guys are getting after it. You're getting it in on the recruiting trail. Am I surprised that he got extended a little bit? Because he was under contract through 2025, and I don't know if it's the same kind of deal in terms of negative recruiting on the basketball end as it is on football. If your coach isn't on, it doesn't have 4 more years left. But technically, he was under contract through for 4 more years, and then got 2. So he'll be under contract until April of 2027. And then we already hit. Did I already hit the buyout stuff?
No, not yet.
Okay. Termination by UF without cause. Mike White will get $1.75 million a year for every year left on the contract, but that's with mitigation for other income. So if he goes and gets the job at Tulsa or gets the job at Georgia, and they give him $1 million a year contract, Florida would only pay him what the difference is between that 1.75 and his new salary. Mike White can leave at any point without cause, and he owes $250,000 a year per year left on his contract to the university if he leaves.
Perfect. So, any thoughts?
Yeah, I don't know why we extended him that long.
Show me the money. He didn't get a raise. Everything stayed the same. It was just extended.
I'm not surprised. I think Strickland had expressed. Sorry, my mouth is all jacked up. Strickland has expressed his that he liked Mike White, and then the status of the program that he liked where he was at and the progress that Mike White was making. So I'm not surprised by extension at all.
Yeah, no, I'm disappointed. I guess I'm just disappointed in the situation. And we talked about how extensions don't really matter. So in the grand scheme of things, I don't think that this matters all that much because you never really ever let a coach just get to the end of their contract and then just decide to, not renew. It just happens so seldomly. But the way that I look at Florida is, Mike White is $123. I think that's below where he should be. He's 63-43, which is below a 600 winning percentage in the SEC. And during his time at UF, he's been 8th, 2nd, 3rd, 8th, 4th, 5th. So I don't really even see any improvement in terms of what he's doing. He's been to the NCAA tournament 5 years in a row. Obviously, the 2019-2020 season was canceled, but he went Elite 8, round of 32, canceled, round of 32. So I don't know if that's indicative of the program that, Florida is going to be, which if they are, then that's what they are. But, I think that Florida can be better. I think that Mike White recruits, really well for a program that continuously struggles against, teams that they should beat. and in the tournament. I think if Florida really wants to be the premier athletic department in the Southeast, the SEC, or in the country, that they need to step up there. And I don't think that Mike White's the guy to lead the team into the future. Now, bring on 2 new assistants, we'll see, but I just don't think that this is the coach to lead them. Again, extensions don't mean much. They're not giving him a promotion, but it is a PR, move to say, hey, that we're at least bought into you as a head coach.
I mean, there were some excuses kind of built in. I mean, he got stuck in recruiting with John Igbunu because Igbunu got hurt and he's going to come back and okay, well, we don't recruit big because we're going to get Igbunu back. And then that turns into a 2-year injury. And now that's 2 recruiting cycles. Obviously last year you literally built everything offensively around one player because that player was good enough to warrant that. And then, 3 years or 3 games or however many games, 5 games into the season, you've got to figure it all out again. I think the biggest issue is you need to be competing for SEC championships. And haven't seen that. So that's my issue with Mike White, but looking at the deal, it's not an extension. And if you fire him, you're going to be paying him less than you're keeping him on. So to me, it's an extension, but it wouldn't stop Florida from making a move away from Mike White. I don't think Scott Strickland is looking to make a move away from Mike White. I think, in fact, he's hoping that Mike White, proves his value. And if he does, that you're probably getting, a discount on Mike White by the time 2025, 26, 27 comes around.
Yeah,
in Scott's mind, he's hoping Mike White becomes the coach or is the coach he thinks he is. And then by the time you get to the last 3 years of this contract, you're getting a deal on him.
Yeah, maybe. I just don't know how many programs that are out there are going to be able to throw a hell of a lot more money than Florida could throw at a basketball coach, right? I mean, unless he really completely changes, his trajectory, your Dukes, your North Carolinas, your Kansas, your huge programs probably aren't going to go after him. And if so, how much money is it possibly? It's all within the realm of what Florida would be able to pay. So maybe they are getting a discount, and maybe because they're spending all this money elsewhere, they're trying to, cut some corners where they can. Again, extension doesn't necessarily mean a lot, but at the end of the day, I don't think Florida, from a PR standpoint, is helping their cause and saying, hey, we expect and want excellence here and out of our coaches. And then finally, with that news, unless you guys have anything else, Cameron Neubauer, who is the women's college, or with the women's, obviously college, the women's basketball coach. Florida struggled a bit last year in basketball. They were knocked down in the second round of the NIT. He is getting his top scorer back. He's getting his best player back from last year. And obviously we talked about it on the podcast, is getting one of the best players in the country from Louisiana, the Gatorade National Player of the Year there. So long story short, he's going to be extended. He's getting a bit of an increase in salary, I believe, as well. But he is just 46 and 71, 15 and 47 in the SEC play, including 3 3-win seasons in the SEC in 4 years. So again, he's building the program, but again, it's an interesting standard to offer an extension.
Silk, I know you got strong opinions on the Florida Gator women's basketball team.
No. You guys got me. My mouth is too numb for takes for this.
Same.
Okay, very good. Well, I don't think that there's a ton to talk about there. So congratulations to all the new coach and all of their new money. Hopefully you guys will be able to spend it at Embers, right, Nick? That's the restaurant that you recommend?
Yeah, Embers.
Yeah.
We gotta stop shouting them. I gotta call them.
We gotta get. That's right. So
go enjoy it. Ads.
Yeah, go enjoy it at Mark's Prime, right? All right, boys. Good emergency pod. Silk, I hope you feel better soon. Nick, we'll see you soon. And go Gators.
I feel great right now, by the way.
I can't feel your face. I bet you feel great.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Same corner, same time.
No, I can't feel my face when I'm with you. All right. See you guys.